What's up, guys? I'm Jared. I'm the Lincoln Douglas captain for Cooper City High School, and today I'm going to be breaking down the March-April topic, which is the United States ought to guarantee the right to housing. So, really briefly, I'm just going to go over some basic topicality. First one is in the United States. This can be open to interpretation, but most likely it's not. You could have state-specific affirmatives, which basically singles out every single state. You can define this as the AF. The second term I'm going to go over is ought, which Merriam-Webster defines as implying a moral obligation. So this is going to link straight into moral frameworks. And the next key term is going to be guarantee. So guarantee is going to be to formally promise or establish in doctrine. So basically, the U.S. government is going to promise the right to housing or establish the right to housing. Okay, and what is the right to housing? The right to housing can also be interpreted. So this can be every single person gets a house. This can be government subsidies. It's all up to the affirmative debater. So it's going to be primarily your choice how to define these terms to your advantage. Affirmative positions. So the entire affirmative case can be centered around homelessness in America, and this is going to be probably the most common stock argument on the March-April topic. And I'm just going to briefly go over two main points, and it's going to be, the first one is going to be economic benefits. It's cheaper to have homeless in houses than in the prison system or in the healthcare system in hospitals. And you can just do basic weighing, show how, the cost, and just get economic benefits on your side. The second one is going to be human rights and human dignity. So basically, what the problem is with people being homeless is that they can't really access the other rights, such as right to privacy, right to be free of violence, right to education, right to obtain employment. And a lot of these rights are not really accessible when you're homeless. It's a lot harder to have the right to privacy, the right to be free of violence, and a lot of these rights are going to be infringed on. So basically, a prerequisite to having these rights is to have the right to housing. And this is going to be the biggest moral issue in today's debate. Negative positions. So negative positions in general are always contingent upon the AF and what they run. But we're just going to be assuming that the AF runs homelessness because it's probably the most common case out there. And I'm just going to show you how you can answer a lot of these homelessness AFs. So firstly, in order to understand the neg, we have to look at the root causes of homelessness and why people become homelessness. The first reason is mental illness. The second is bad financial responsibility. And the third could be substance abuse. So when we give these people houses, does it really help them overcome their problem? The answer is no. And as the negative debater, you really have to illustrate to the judge how giving drug addicts or financially inept people houses isn't going to solve the root causes. And this can lead to a counterplan. So a good counterplan that I would do is substantially increase funding in finance training programs, or make a drug clinic free, and illustrate why you can't perm these. And that's going to be why the right to housing is bad. Because it further exacerbates the problems of homelessness and never makes these homeless people become accountable, and it only negates the problem. So illustrate why right to housing only exacerbates homelessness, and you can provide an easy link to a counterplan that cannot be permed. Okay, so how to be abusive and just how to get cheap wins. First one is going to be state-specific affirmatives. If you really want to spike out a lot of offense and you have a debater who doesn't really know anything about theory, you can just run state-specific affirmatives, which basically says let's only guarantee the right to housing in Florida, in Washington, D.C., or stuff like that. This is hyper abusive. You can spike out a lot of evidence on the neg because you can say, oh, this only pertains to Utah. Oh, it only pertains to Florida. And if you do that, it's a cheap, easy way to win. Second way you can win on the neg would be probably multiple counterplans and nibs. So if you have a lay debater and a judge who understands progressive debate, you can run an underview, which basically says vote for the neg debater, and you just go off presumption. So again, presumption could be another abusive strat. Multiple counterplans like rehab, finance classes. If you have this like new policy, you can just keep expanding it. It's really abusive, but it's a cheap win. Trouble.